Hey everybody, it's Jeff Scott. I thought I'd do a very quick in the market update, and no, this is not the 5th. This is the 6th. Good COVID-19 news translates to good day in the markets. I guess this is a hint of what happens when this crisis might be over. I mean, if you're bullish, when you think of all that liquidity in the market, you just wonder how rapid and roaring a market rally will be. I'm going to run an update right now. For those that don't do intraday updates, I have my Thinkorswim running. I'm going into intraday section. It's enabled. I'm going to make sure I option is Thinkorswim, and I am going to do a complete update and include intraday data. It is 3:15, and Boris Johnson's in intensive care after condition worsens. So hopefully that doesn't kill the coronavirus rally. I'm going to start this. Now it's 3:16, and we're going to let it run. I'm going to pause for a second, and we'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, it's 3:22, so this complete update took 6 minutes. Go back to PowerPoint for the critical slide of disclaimers for educational purposes only. Any recommendation in the spirit of education, not investment advice. I'm a doctor, not a broker. I'm independent. I pay for all the tools that I use. Nobody pays me money for talking good things about their tools. I don't take a portion of any payments that you make to any third parties. And trading involves risk, and you alone are solely responsible for any investment decisions you make. There is a webinar. I just want to mention it right now. Thursday, April 9th from 4 to 6 p.m. I'll be having a guest speaker. I'll start with my typical top-down review. I want to show him HGSI as well. And then Dr. Keith, who's a seasonal trader and other expert, will demonstrate his Thinkorswim tool set that I use. He's offering a special discount to HGSI users. Why is it a special discount? It is common practice in this business when a third party, me, introduces his listeners to a third party, that third party splits the cost of his product to those people introduced by the referring person, me. Well, I have no interest in taking that. I just tell them to make a bigger discount. So no purchase is necessary to participate. And here is the link. It'll also be in the chat box on YouTube, or in the comment box rather, and in the email that you see invite to this. So let's get to the markets. I watch the markets all day. I'm going to show you some of the different things that I do. When I did my weekend webinar, I made a comment that I still think we're going to retest. All right. And I'll say that again. I still think we're going to retest. At some point I'll be convinced that I'm wrong. But today was clearly a bullish day, and this is TradeStation, which is a combination of John Person's tools, Roy Kelly's cycles, and some of the Q tools from Cigar, and then my dots that have squeeze and things like that. And this morning, the futures, these were already moving in blue. There clearly was a trend change here, or at least a one-day change. The line here represents the peak of the move up a week ago that, many of us have wondered, is it a bull trap? We doubted it was a V bottom. I certainly expected a market pullback from here, but you got to play the market you had. I was concerned that this line, I'm still concerned, will be resistance, but you can see on the NASDAQ futures, which is the third one. The first one's the E-mini futures. This is a daily chart. The YM, which are the Dow futures, the NASDAQ futures, and the Russell futures. And if I switch this very quickly to a daily chart, to a 15-minute chart, you can see that we really took out the resistance on the NASDAQ. And we're on we got higher highs and higher lows. And, you could certainly argue on this 15-minute chart dating to 9 o'clock this morning that we're in an uptrend. And I've got a lot of things running, or else the E-mini would have painted already. So I'm going to, hopefully I'm not. All right. When I go into Think or Swim, obviously it's a very strong day for me and for a lot of other people. I did buy some things today. Whether I have them at the end of the day remains to be seen. I bought some Netflix today. I bought some IMMU, which is a biotech. I played around with some of my Amazon position today, and I took a short Apple position off today. So I did a number of different things. I got a feeling that my trade station is now going to turn off. So let me just Control-Alt-Delete and kill my trade station. As I said, I have a number of things running right now, and trade station sometimes gets mad at me if I've got too many things going on. I'm sure it's not them, it's me, but just kill it. There we go. So one of the reasons why I like having John's indicators on HGSI is I don't have to do that with HGSI. So it's a very strong day. When I look at the futures in Think or Swim, you could see the blue arrow here. This is on the E-mini, NASDAQ futures, the Dow futures, not yet on the Russell futures. All those are a buy signal that came in on the daily charts. You can see that the VIX has come down nicely, and the dollar, let's see if I can make that easier to tell what's going on. The dollar has given us a doji. Okay, so interesting day, obviously very bullish. Why is it bullish? It's bullish because some people think that COVID-19 is slowing down. I'm not sure I buy it, but the number of deaths and number of ICU beds, vent utilization, new cases seems to be slowing down in New York, and apparently the same thing in Italy and Spain. I continue to be amazed at how little this is in Russia. I think it says something to tight borders. You notice how much red you see in China if you look at active cases. Oh, come on, Jeffrey. I'll get this right. Everything's so touchy. You could see in China, they've got very few active cases compared to the United States and Europe. So COVID remains to be a very important driver of this market. All right, so let's take a look at HGSI. Again, this was updated at 312 to 316, I think is the time frame. Let's go into Ron Brown's folder of market analysis user groups, Major Markets Plus. So since I'm running this intraday, these are the changes today, and you could see lots of green, led by semis up 8.9, utilities 7.6. If I look at the strongest was the industrial average. If you go by the one-day movement is 6%. I don't know why that's the strongest. I guess there's more into the combo filter than just the one-day performance. The combo filter, stocks and groups moving to the upsize, looks at force, whether there's a buy signal, and a number of other things. So we can now look at the S&P 500 real quickly. Just in here, I talked about this in my weekend review. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you know, we've had a very nice gap up here, a new person buy signal, a mobile breakout. If I play with things I don't usually play with, but what the heck, pull out the Fibonacci, stick it up here somewhere, bring it down to the bottom here, which we'll say it's about here. We have right up at the 38th percentile. This is on the cash markets. It'd be interesting to see if we can break through this 38%. Perhaps the target's the 50%, and perhaps as we're working our way down there, we'll deal with a falling 50-day moving average and 200-day moving average. So is this potentially a short-term target? It could be, But gosh, the way this market is, don't you expect it to come down tomorrow? I mean, I'm not trying to be evasive or obnoxious. That's the way this market has been. Hard to say what it's going to be tomorrow. If I look at the industry groups, you should see a lot of strength today. If I look at the 2-day up, hold on one second. We can see, and we don't need to look at the industry group index itself, but in fact, we have 104 to the upside today. To the downside, we have nothing. That just tells you strength. All groups, all sectors are up. On a longer term down, we still have a number of groups that are down over the 5-day window, but we're now starting to build up. This is a big change from this weekend. This has been such a strong day that it flipped a number to the intermediate upside. Semiconductors, with the Philly Semi being first, no surprise. Start with NVIDIA. I looked at buying it earlier today. I should have perhaps broke out above the 50. The one that I've been in is AMD, which we'll get to in a second. I did buy another one this morning, which I'm not sure I'll hold overnight or not. AMD struggling, I won't say struggling, trying to get above its 50-day moving average. Had a kahuna today. And is this, I want to get to this view. It'd be nice to see a person buy signal come in as well. We'll see at the end of the day if we get another follow through day, which will be a Eureka. Micron Technology below the 200. Intel, another one, gap up today, struggling at the 50, but strong. Broadcom. The other one I bought was Texas Instruments, and I bought it because of, well, I'm going to cut to the chase. Dr. Keith has a number of interesting indicators. One of them is called a modified Laguerre RSI, and that's what's sitting down here. And when I find stocks crossing out of the green into the black, and he has a scanner that gives you a 2 or 3 day window, it seems like it also correlates with when the stocks are breaking out here. So I brought it earlier in the day, and it's moved up since I bought it. It also had a John Person buy signal. He'll demonstrate his modified Laguerre on the call. So semiconductors, biotech also strong. I bought some of this today, but I'm not sure I'm going to hold it. I don't like how it's moved down into the center of the body. Bible gap up, mobile breakout, a kahuna. Person's already in a buy signal. Why did I buy some of this today? Remember in Hgsi, if you right click, go to more info from web, finviz.com, announces Ascent study to be stopped for compelling efficacy. So when you're doing a clinical trial, it's common to have an independent review board look at the data as you're going, because if the data is really amazingly positive, or unfortunately negative, they'll tell you either stop it because it's time to get the drug to market, which is positive, or stop it for futility. Their drug was extremely positive in breast cancer for a common subset called triple negative that does not have a lot of treatments available for it. I find that to be a very bullish thing. I took a position today. I'll probably hold some of it overnight. Again, I would rather see it closing at the top of the candle than on the lower part. But I will watch for Immunomedics to run up over the next couple of weeks. Vertex Pharmaceutical broke out here today. You're looking at a stock at an all-time high in this market, or at least at a multi-month high, took out this high here. That looks interesting. Here's a vaccine company traded up here right in the chandelier stop. They raise money often, which bother me, but today you got a mobile breakout from a squeeze. Insight, they're trying their drug on some of the issues related to COVID-19, broke above the 200-day moving average. So biotech looks interesting as well. Precious metals, we talked about this over the weekend. Newmont Mining, breaking out here. Mobile breakout from a squeeze. Kahuna, person signal is positive. The one that I own that I mentioned over the weekend is Barrick Gold. Very similar looking pattern today. So cruise lines, now do I believe cruise lines are a great investment? No, I think that we've got one with John Person in September, October, and my wife is already lobbying me to cancel it because she's afraid to go on a cruise. And I think she's done with cruises because it's a giant petri dish. But you had some Saudi money come into either this one or RCL today. You're buying something at a deep discount. I doubt they're going to continue a 19.6% dividend when they're not really operating. But if you believe the cruise line industry is going to snap back, and it may, you can get into the leaders, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, at very deep discounts. Application software. These are great companies that might become more used when we're sitting at home. Salesforce.com, love this company because my daughter became a Salesforce admin working for me, and then the headhunters keep taking her and paying her more money at other companies. It's pulled back with the market. It's a great tool. We use it at work. Fundamentals, it's expensive stock with a high PE. Mobile breakout today. Adobe, you all know Adobe. We use it whenever we want to protect or share a document. You're buying it right off the 200-day moving average out of a squeeze with a kahuna. That looks interesting. I may come back and look at that later. DocuSign, a way to sign things when you're not there. More and more industries are allowing people to use DocuSign instead of a actual pen signature. Kahuna, breakout off the 50. I like that picture a lot. Don't know much about Autodesk. I'm not a fan into it. Anything here else? Yeah, Slack had run up with the initial enthusiasm about being at home, but it's pulled back into its consolidating area. A couple things looked good in there. Specialty pharma. This is what I do during the day when I'm not working, which isn't often. Don't know anything about Acres Bioscience. A big move here, but it's a cheap stock. I probably would pass it. This is a veterinarian story. Eyes. I don't see anything there that jumps out and says buy me. Consumer finance, you might be able to see some, great companies. MasterCard and Visa, both are having big moves today. Lower, improving on the PMC, higher highs, higher lows. Is it time to buy MasterCard? I'm just showing you things. Visa, very similar pattern. So a lot of interesting things showing up right away on a top-down review. I also do a bottoms-up review. My bottoms-up reviews, I could go into all securities, and that will give me more stocks showing up, but then I'll get things that don't have any volume, and I don't trade things like that. So let's look at all securities, at least $2 and 250,000 shares. Hit the warehouse view. It brings it over here. Now I'm going to go into my person views. Actually, I'll start with my person views. I've got about 10 more minutes here. Little John person views. I'm bullish today, so you can see I have 204 new buys came in today. That's a lot. How many have improving or outperforming PMCs? Most of them 176. We haven't looked at Freeport-McMoRan, so let's just pull that up here. So this is sort of a bottom fish, but you have a new buy. Horrible fundamentals, 2.8% dividend. It's under accumulation. Person daily buy near weekly support. Well, not a lot of things are near support. A daily buy with a weekly buy. So these would be stocks that are in a buy both daily and weekly. Semtech is another semiconductors. They're very strong today. Also had a high closed doji. If the bar closed here, it's early in the week, so you have to discount that a little bit. Micron, we looked at. Amazon. Now, my move today is, despite my Amazon is fully de-risked and fully covered, triple digits, covered with puts. Man, if I didn't have that, I'd be up double that today, but I'll take it. Got earnings coming out. I want to be protected on the earnings. Plus, the way this market is, just because it was great today, what about tomorrow? I can tell you if it's up tomorrow, I'm going to start taking off some of the puts, but I still worry about earnings. Earnings are the 23rd. Viscom Technology, another technology play. CoDX, pull back to the 50. Mobile breakout from a squeeze and a kahuna. You know, one of the things I like, a pattern I like. Number 4, trilogy buy. This is a combination of a lot of things that I like. End phase is one I've been in and out of. I might want to be in it again. Pull back to the 200. So it's got some overhead supply and resistance. That's a negative. A new person buy signal. I'm certainly going to want to watch it. Look at the fundamentals. Sure, it's gotten hurt some by oil. And I don't know much about, Reggie is another one we've looked at before. A very similar pattern on the renewable energy play, also with great earnings per share growth. The reason why you have warehouse views is to bring good stocks up to the top. Daily high close dojis on a strong day, expect a lot. We have them. How about with new buys? Let's look at in mode. We haven't seen that one yet today. Another one, pull back. Here we got PMC getting less negative, a new buy signal coming in, and a high close doji here. 3 days in a row, or 3 weeks in a row above the doji. Jazz, I won't comment because I do work with them, but a new buy signal, mobile breakout from a squeeze, a kahuna, improving PMC, and a weekly high close doji. Go down again, just look at this one, weekly high close doji and a PBS buy within 2 days. This is another group that would be exciting to me, Goldfield Industries. I'd like to see it take out its 50. Here's what I liked over the weekend, and you can see what it did. Is that today? Yep. Broke out today. This was my pick over the weekend, and which means I must have been filled because I put a buy order in on it. Awesome. The other thing I like to look at is are there any stocks that are in uptrends that might be interesting? So I've got pullbacks and uptrends. Let's look at uptrend near the 50. So these had to be 2 and 150,000 shares, or in this case, 250,000. Above the 200-day moving average, and they have to be within 2% of the 50-day moving average. I've got 67 of them. This is a place where I have found historically a lot of my winners. Centene I had sold last week when I may want to get back interested in this. Mobile breakout from a squeeze in a kahuna, in a person buy. But what I can do is I can now go down here and look at these stocks have to be in a squeeze and also have a momentum indicator. So that would be a person buy, a kahuna, a mobile breakout, viable gap up, pocket pivot. And let's just see if any of these look interesting. Costco's gone sideways, but boy, it's setting up here. A move above this PSAR dot would get me excited. A mobile breakout from a squeeze, a kahuna, person buy signal here. All right. Franco-Nevada, another gold play breaking above the 50. Centene we just looked at, looks very interesting. A PSAR reverse today too. This is one, I'm curious, if I go back into here and go look at yeah, it's already run up. Now, one thing I wanted to show you, I do a lot of things in Radar Screen and TradeStation and Market Watch in Thinkorswim. Now it's loading and it takes some time during the day, but you notice where it says a 1? On a stock that it has a 1, that tells me that it's got positive seasonality over the next 20, 40, 60 days, and it has to have at least an 8% move. And I know here that in 40 days, performance, it's up 11.67%. Well, that Repligen we just looked at was one of the ones that had pulled back to the 50-day moving average. All right. Oh, we didn't look at Repligen. We looked at an energy one. Repligen is one I've looked at several times in the recent past. There's Centene, T-Mobile, Zynex. So again, they're all above. No, this one isn't above. Oh, it's within 2% of the 50. It's above the 200-day moving average. It's got a high closed doji, kahuna squeeze. I have another group that I look at, which is the 20-day SMA. It's amazing. We have 67 stocks, but it doesn't tell you that the 20 is above the 50. Let's pull down here and see if any of them have got some momentum in a squeeze that we haven't looked at. DaVita, Celsi, ILAC. Yeah, it looks like a buyout. Again, in good markets, I might be interested in this. It's pulled down a lot. DaVita Healthcare, Neogenomics. I don't always find something, but sometimes on these scans, I'll find something that's really good. I have a scan here that's right before a bullish PSAR flip. Only 3 made the list. And boy, I can tell you those are 3 good stocks. Walmart, I'm in, and you could see it's about to do a PSAR reversal if it trades up tomorrow. Look at the weekly breaking out. I like Walmart a lot. Smucker's, I like their jelly. Also looks like it's breaking out. And look at these stocks on some of the consumer staples I point out over the weekend. They've gone sideways to up despite the market pulling back. They do really great in tough markets. That's why they're called defensive stocks. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye. What a difference a day makes. I got 15 minutes to clean up some positions, probably take some profits. Not looking a gift horse in the mouth today. And go back up here to the presentation and just want to remind you about a free webinar. And you'll hear Dr. Keith will talk about that modified Laguerre. He'll talk about those watch list columns that show performance over the next 20, 40, 60 days when there's seasonality. He'll also show you how, I want this one. What I forgot to show you in the charts was this white line here, and this is painting seasonality. This is the predicted seasonality, and then if you tap it onto where the price is, it gives you an idea of what expectations are from seasonality. On that note, have a great day, everybody. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday.